So I read this tweet from Chelsea Handler today, and it kind of got on my nerves, so I wanted to talk about it for just a minute. She said, and she's talking about the latest issue with police brutality that is currently being adjudicated in our media. She says, why would any person of color ever comply with a police officer when there is a 50-50 shot of getting accidentally shot? I couldn't tell what she was doing here. Was this some kind of comedic social commentary? Because if so, it wasn't funny. Or was it supposed to be some deep intellectual social commentary? Because if so, it was completely clueless and ignorant. I mean, if there ever was such a thing as a mascot for white privilege, it would be this. This is something you say when you don't live the lives of other people and you don't really care to know the lives of other people. I would never even joke to my 18-year-old son to not comply with police whenever he has interactions with them. I wouldn't even make that joke because that would have real world consequences. That is the most disturbing advice to me as a Black mother, for all the reasons that you made this tweet in the first place, which is I agree that there is an issue with police brutality and how law enforcement interacts with the Black community. So no, I don't think it's clever or pithy or intelligent advice or even funny to tweet out advice to Black men that they should probably resist police officers. Absolutely not. But again, this is what happens when you make comments for social credibility, rather than understanding that there are real world consequences and real human beings behind these very, what you would think of as benign statements or talking points. The other thing I didn't really care for is Chelsea's description of this as an issue that affects people of color. No, I don't appreciate the Black experience being watered down to be the brown experience. This is an issue in the Black community and has been for many, many decades now. Longer than the LA riots, but I can remember one of the first incidents that I was aware of was the LA riots and the Rodney King case. So this isn't new. This isn't something that just popped up. This is something that Black America has been dealing with for decades and decades. And it is a problem. And maybe there are too many people out there who don't think that it is a problem. But I always say that if a lot of people are mad about something, maybe it's because they have something to be mad about. Conversation is at least worth having, but we need to be honest about what the conversation is. And one of those points of honesty is that this is not a discussion about people of color. This is a discussion about Black people. All right. We're not talking about Asians being pulled over and shot by cops. We're not talking about Indian Americans being pulled over and shot by cops. We're talking about Black Americans. So stay focused. I also don't appreciate the hyperbole that's becoming involved in this conversation. Again, another sign to me that you, Chelsea, were just tweeting for clicks rather than to actually be a part of the conversation. You're just one woman and you're just a comedian, and I don't expect you to solve this problem on your own. I get it. But that doesn't mean that you have to be socially irresponsible, particularly when you are of an ideology that preaches all day long about being responsible with your speech and inciting speech. I mean, if you want to talk about inciting speech, how about advising Black men to resist the police when they have interactions with them? I thought it was an irresponsible tweet, mostly though just because I don't think she thought about it. I only think she thought about how it would affect her, what it would do for her likes, her clicks, her followers, her brand. And that is the problem with this entire conversation surrounding the issue of police brutality. The real people, regular Americans who are the ones who should be having these important conversations, those voices are drowned out by the celebrity minority in Hollywood and the media class who thrive on drama and thrive on violence and fear porn. And they don't want us to come together and sit down and have reasonable conversations that envelop both sides of the conversation. You guys aren't interested in that. And so then when you talk in terms of hyperbole like this, you make it harder for people like me who want to engage in these conversations and who want to look at people on my side of the aisle and give them reasons to understand what is happening in the Black community. You make that argument harder. You make that conversation harder because you're only thinking about yourself. You're only thinking about what accolades and praise these kinds of statements are going to make you. But I assure you, Chelsea, that we are human beings with real lives that we are living every day. And the things we do as Black Americans do have consequences in public. More so than I could ever explain in a 5-minute video. But next time you tweet out about this issue, and I don't want you to shut up and I don't want you to go away. I want you to have your voice. You're an American too. And I don't believe we solve any issues of race or racism without white people in this country. I think it's ridiculous to imagine that we would. If we're going to say white people are part of the problem, then we got to make them part of the solution, or what solutions work. So I don't want you to go away and I don't want you to be silent. But I would like you to put a little more thought into the things that you're sending out there when you talk about issues in our community. Because you are a person of influence. Just next time, maybe think about what you say before you tweet it out.